Tracking some breaking news out of the NFL where the Steelers are expected to name Kenny Pickett as their starter. That'll be moving forward. Pickett will replace Mitch Trubisky, who started the first 4 games of the season. Remember, Pittsburgh did select Pickett with the 20th overall pick in last year's NFL draft. All right, joining us now with their reaction, we say hello to Danny Kanell and Brady Quinn. Guys, quarterback topics not too foreign when it comes to these two, but just 2 weeks ago, guys, we heard Mike Tomlin say that he was not growing impatient with Mitch Trubisky. Trubisky gets 30 more minutes of football beyond that statement, Brady. What do you think transpired here that decided, or that made Mike Tomlin decide to move on, and this is the course that the Steelers are going to take moving forward?
I think he got tired of watching their offense really not have much of a spark to it. And when Kenny Pickett got in the preseason, you saw that spark. And even in this most recent game, you saw the spark. Now, I know people are going to make a big deal about all the interceptions. Go back and watch the tape. Chase Claypool should have made a better play on the football in the first one. The last one was a Hail Mary. And then the other one, Pat Freiermuth turned into a volleyball player and set that ball up perfectly for the New York Jets secondary. So those aren't really on him, even though they're going to go on his stats. But there's no doubt about it. His athleticism, I think he was more apt to showcase some of that too when he's out there in the field. There's just a different feeling to it. And I think the biggest criticism I have is he's still going to be up against it, considering the fact that Matt Canada is his play caller. And unfortunately, whether it was Ben Roethlisberger last year or Mitch Trubisky this year, this offense lacks creativity. And we got a chance to watch on Sunday Night Football the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid and what that looks like. And they're such a long departure from anything close to that, even though they have so much talent on the outside of wide receiver, even in their backfield, and yet they can't figure out creative ways of getting those guys the football or creating big plays. So, look, this is a good spot for Kenny Pickett, I think, to continue to grow and learn and take some lumps as a rookie quarterback. But the reality is the toughest thing, they need to figure out more creative play calling because Matt Canada is not getting a cut right now.
No, the 1-3 start, I think, is really what sealed it because I felt like the Steelers wanted to give Mitchell Trubisky every chance to succeed. And then when you draft a quarterback in the first round, if you don't feel like he's the best option right away, you kind of roll with the veteran until you feel like you're out of the playoff hunt. And clearly with the start of the season, the way the Steelers have gone and a shaky first half there against the Jets, it was time to make a move. And, you referenced the spark. I think that's clearly what it was. And now you get handed the reins to the franchise. And Kenny Pickett did show some spark in the preseason. He had really good rapport with George Pickens, the other rookie wide receiver. I'm excited to see what those two can do together. I'm more concerned about the schedule of who they're playing here upcoming. A road trip to Buffalo, then they're playing Tampa Bay. I mean, it's not going to get any easier for the Steelers offense, which has struggled. Now you go with Kenny Pickett. I just think this is finally the Steelers realizing this is going to be more of a rebuild year than what we've seen of recent history, and especially under the Mike Tomlin era, which has been, consistent winner, consistent, playoff contender. This year, I think that's an extreme long shot. So if that's the case, go with the young quarterback, see what he's made of, and see if this is the quarterback of your future.
Yeah, this is the franchise that, let's not forget, had the luxury of not having to worry about the quarterback position for about 2 decades there with Big Ben. You touched upon it there, Danny. Expectation in Pittsburgh is always to win football games and make the playoffs. Do you shift expectation right now? Now, we don't expect Mike Tomlin to come out and say that to this fan base, but with Pickett in, do you see this as a growing season and one that maybe won't produce the record that Steelers fans are used to?
Oh, I think clearly. Their win total this year was 7.5, I believe, and I was on the under of that one. I mean, it clearly is. Now, they didn't want to admit it, and Mike Tomlin still wouldn't admit it. And he wouldn't admit it in week 16. If it's, or week 17, he would never say that we're in a rebuild mode because then you kind of send a message to your fans and your fan base, well, we don't have really much of a chance to win. But the reality is they're probably going to start 1-5. Then they go to that's 1-6. There's a very real possibility they could be 1-5, 1-6. And no matter what you look at history-wise, very few franchises are able to play their way out of it. So I think you're trying to lay a foundation. Let Kenny Pickett go out there, cut his teeth under fire where the best teacher is actually going out there in the games, because you can sit and watch and you can go in the classroom and you can go up on the board and you can drop the plays and you can study film, but the best teacher is actually on the field. And I think this will be a good year for Kenny Pickett. So you get out in front of it. You just got to kind of stay positive, see if you can develop and learn from your mistakes, and then you'll know exactly where you lie with him as your quarterback.
They don't play him on paper, but looking at that schedule, Bills, Bucks, Dolphins, Eagles, Saints, you could be looking at 1-6, 1-7 as Danny outlines there. I don't think that's too much of a far cry. And with that will come some noise about this rookie quarterback. Have we seen the last of Mitch Trubisky in your eyes, Brady Quinn?
Probably in Pittsburgh as far as the starter right now. Now, he could happen to come in if something happens to Kenny Pickett as the backup and resurface. But I think as far as a starter, he'll now have to earn his way back onto the field, either via an injury or a situation where someone else would be willing to take a chance on him. But I think he's very capable as a quarterback in this league to be a backup. He's obviously got the skill set to do so and come in and provide a little bit of a spark. But the reality is, he's going to have to earn that now after this year. So it's obviously unfortunate. I know he's frustrated by it. He seemed frustrated by it after the game, given his comments to the media. But look, this is, again, it's still going to be a struggle for this offense because of who their play caller is. Ben Roethlisberger has been public about it too. The one thing I'd caution is, even though their schedule is ridiculously difficult before their bye, 3 of the next 4 are on the road. That's part of it. But even who they play, literally the best teams in the NFL, I think, when you look at the Bills, the Tampa Bay Bucks, who they get the host in their house, they're going to be hungry looking for a win. The Dolphins, maybe Tua's back by then, maybe not. Either way, Teddy Bridgewater is very capable, and then having to go to Philly, which is the hottest team in the NFL right now. That's a gauntlet. And I think the tough part is this is a team that hasn't experienced this sort of lack of success under Mike Tomlin. All he knows is winning, but definitely not a losing record. So how does the locker room respond? Those leaders there, how do they respond? I think they're capable of still pulling off some surprising upsets because they've got a good defense, and I think they have improved somewhat up front with some of the talent they have on the outside. It's just a matter of finding a way to putting it all together, and I think it's a difficult task to throw in a rookie at this point.
Yeah, a different type of attrition is on the way in the Steel City, as Brady said, with another rookie signal caller taking the reins. Gentlemen, thank you. Stay put. We'll check back in a few.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.